Scaramanzi with you in throwback mode for day number 17 of the moments that define WrestleMania. I'm wearing the official WrestleMania 17 baseball jersey that was sold on WWE Shop Zone back then, and to people who attended WrestleMania 17. April 1st, 2001, Houston, Texas, in the Astrodome. And I've retired. I retired this jersey a long time ago because obviously the lettering had been falling apart. But I wear this jersey today with pride because we come to an iconic WWE pay-per-view, and from my money and for a lot of people's money, perhaps the best WrestleMania ever. There has not been a night in professional wrestling after this event. There's not been a night since April 1st, 2001 that has had so much anticipation and so much emotion. Just unbelievably positive feeling for any single event in wrestling. There's not been that big emotion since this night, almost 10 years ago. Some people regard this as the end of the Attitude Era. I think differently. There were events after this one that sort of signaled the end of the Attitude Era, but this certainly was a night to embrace it, enjoy it. The card from top to bottom was spectacular. The squash of the night at this event was the Women's Championship match, which they gave build up for, but they didn't really need to because China was just going to kick Ivory's ass and take the Women's title anyway. Kane winning the Hardcore Championship. No Pete Rose sighting this year. Raven, who was the Hardcore Champion in this match, saying on previous interviews how he almost pulled the power out of WrestleMania 17 at this event. You had the gimmick Battle Royal, Gene Okerlund, Bobby Heenan coming from WCW to call the play-by-play of this matchup. The Undertaker and Triple H having a go at it. A phenomenal match between those two. Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle having a good match. I mean, just up and down moments galore at this incredible event. My top 3 moments coming out of this event. There's just been a lot, but it's really hard to cut down to 3. But these were my 3. At number 3, the street fight between Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon. This event came 6 nights after Vince McMahon officially saying that he bought WCW. The simulcast on Monday Nitro, the final WCW Monday Nitro, Vince McMahon coming on in the end announcing that he bought WCW, but his son Shane, who had already agreed to wrestling a match with Vince at WrestleMania, the street fight, but adding fuel to the fire, Shane McMahon saying the name on the contract did say McMahon, however the contract reads Shane McMahon, and Shane McMahon buying WCW wrestlers in attendance to watch Vince versus Shane in the street fight, Mick Foley the guest referee, Trish Stratus, Stephanie McMahon getting into a cat fight, Linda McMahon sedated, Shane McMahon winning the match, Linda coming out of her wheelchair. Just the crowd exploded at that moment when she jumped out and kicked Vince in the grapefruits. Mick Foley getting him some too. Shane McMahon doing a leap of faith for the first time ever, jumping from one side of the ring to the other, kicking the trash can in his father's face, and picking up the win in that street fight. Only the McMahons at that period of time could tell a story much like that very successfully. And probably the best match of Vince McMahon's career, in my estimation. But that would not be the last time Vince and Shane would butt heads in 2001. Number 2 moment for me and my favorite match of this card, Edge and Christian, the Hardys and the Dudleys owning WrestleMania again, and owning the ladder match again, the sequel to Tables, Ladders, Chairs 1 from SummerSlam 2000, which I thought was a very, just, those 3 teams, pushing the bar for ladder matches well early into the 2000s. With a triangle ladder match that Edge and Christian won at WrestleMania 16 and at WrestleMania 17, tables, ladders, chairs 2. A few down spots, I'll admit. Lita running in to help the Hardys. Spike Dudley running in to help the Dudleys. Rhino running in to help Edge and Christian. A lot of high spots as always in these matchups. The most notable, Edge spearing Jeff Hardy 20 feet in the air. Edge jumping off the ladder. Jeff Hardy almost breaking his spine. I mean, just an incredible showcase, again, from these three teams. Edge and Christian, once again, coming out of the brutality of the tables, ladders, and the chairs with the tag team titles in that contest, in my favorite match. And one that I think was a little bit better than the first tables, ladders, chairs match, and a match that certainly won Match of the Year in Pro Wrestling Illustrated in 2001. My number one moment, Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to WrestleMania and returning to the WWE. Survivor Series 99 getting run down in the parking lot in Detroit's Joe Louis Arena, coming back a year later from spinal surgery, coming back to win the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble match to headline to get his WWE title shot against The Rock, who won the WWE Championship again at No Way Out the month before, setting up the rematch from WrestleMania 15. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, perhaps the two biggest stars in WWE in the Attitude Era. And a match that certainly always has its ups and downs, those two slugging it out. But no one expected the sellout, even though there was internet. But perhaps the first dagger to the end of the Attitude Era. Stone Cold Steve Austin joining forces with Vince McMahon, selling his soul to Satan himself to win the WWE Championship. For the third time at a WrestleMania, and I believe for the fifth or sixth time, no matter what it was. But Stone Cold Steve Austin winning, shaking hands with Mr. McMahon, and perhaps either fitting or not so fitting end, but an otherwise incredible end to WrestleMania 17. And again, as I said, perhaps the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And words can't really describe it because just the impact that it left afterwards, perhaps, in my mind, perhaps the greatest night of wrestling for me as a fan. And unfortunately, did not order this pay-per-view, but the next year would start a tradition of what's going to be 9 consecutive WrestleManias ordered on pay-per-view live. I would leave it at that. Tomorrow we talk about WrestleMania 18. Moved across the border to Canada again, and had a very iconic matchup at that card. It's Gurmatsi saying so long until tomorrow for the moments that define WrestleMania.